But our lesson today is the tricks of the little me. And there are a lot of tricks. In most spiritual and religious traditions, there is the recognition of something called an adversary. Now, some religions call it Satan or the devil. Personal growth and development circles would call it the ego. Here at Little Unity, we may be small, but we are fierce. Here at Unity in general, we start off the teachings of this adversary in Sunday school, but we call it the little me. So we have the little me versus the big me, or the great me, the little me versus the great me. And so little kids start learning about this right away. And it's funny because I'll know like that they've been talking about it, because I've had little kids come up to me and say, you know, my little me didn't want me to share my cookies today, but the great me said I had to. Oh my gosh, I can't take it, it's so cute. Okay, so we do. We call it the little me. We call it the little me. Now our great me, of course, is that part of us that we call forth, the divine through us, for us, as us. Like the part of us that we are aligning with, the Christ consciousness, or if you want to call it your higher self or your soul. But it's the part of us that allows us to call forth more good through us and into our lives for the benefit of all. Our little me is responsible for any kind of resistance that we experience when we want to try something new. Okay? It's our little me that's going to jump between us and our faith. It's going to try to stop us. It's like, don't have faith, don't trust. And it really can disintegrate our faith. The little me, even though the name little me just seems like, oh, just a little guy. It's just a little guy. It can disintegrate our faith. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. It's tricks today. So we can spot it a mile away. So we have been going through the lessons of big faith equal big life. Big faith, right? We're embodying big faith. We are acting on big faith. Faith is not an intangible thing that we can only imagine and think about. It's actually our activity in this life. Faith is not just hoping for the best. Well, I'm going to see what the universe sends my way, and well, maybe that's all that's meant to be. That's not faith. In fact, we cannot talk about faith enough. We cannot make it a big enough deal. That's how big faith is in our lives, and that's how much importance it has in our lives. It's huge. So here's a little something from the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, and this is all between verses 1 and 6, but it's not the entirety of it. But I'm sure you've all heard this. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, and it's the evidence of things not seen. But I have the George Lamsa Bible, which is translated directly from Aramaic into English. There's no going into Greek translation there. And it had a little something else in this verse that I never knew about. So here's the verse in its entirety. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, as it was the substance of things which have come to pass. And it is the evidence of things not seen. It's the substance of things which have come to pass because somebody had the faith to make it so. Right? A group of people built this church. So this church is a demonstration of faith. The car that you are driving is a demonstration of faith. Somebody just knew that they could make this car. Right? So the camera, everything, is a demonstration of faith. If we see it, if it's existing, it's a demonstration of faith. So faith is an aspect of creative substance, that power that creates worlds. Ernest Holmes also said something that I really love about faith. He said, in spiritual terminology, faith means belief in the presence of an invisible principle and law, which directly and specifically responds to us. So faith, it's the creative substance of this power that creates worlds, but it's also a principle and a law which responds to us specifically and directly. It responds to us. So back to Hebrews. For it is through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that the things which are seen came to be from those which are not seen. Okay, remember in the creation story, God spoke the world into existence, right? Let there be light. There wasn't this, of course we never hear about this in the story, so I don't think this was what took place. Well, I'd like there to be light. How would I do that? Maybe maybe I should make it so big. Like, that's like all things, let there be light. Maybe I should start small. Like, what do I know that I could do, right? There's none of that. It was let there be light. The word, that term, word, with a capital W, means a declaration, an intention. It's intention and activity, not just intention. Okay, the word means intention and activity. So you think about it as a declaration, and so it is. Let there be light. And there's no room for it not to be light, because it's a declaration. Without faith, man cannot please God. Who comes near to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who seek him. Now, this isn't about literally thinking we have to please our daddy God, okay? But it is about becoming more conscious, developing more awareness, developing deeper understanding of the spiritual truth. God is all things, and that means me, and that means my ideas, and the inspiration that came to me. Like, where do you think the inspiration came from? The divine, working through you, for you, as you. Okay, so God is all. As we practice having awareness of this, and like for me, I just say it over and over in my head all the time. Like when I'm facing something, right? God is all things, and that means me. All right, I'll remember that. Right? We just remind ourselves of it more and more. This is how we increase our faith. Okay, now without our faith, we're bound by a belief that we are not enough, that we are not sufficient, that we are lacking something. That's who we are if we don't have faith, if we're not remembering that we are the physical activity of God walking around in this world, here to call forth more good, not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of others. So think for a moment about something you may be seeking in your own life. And then what happens next, right? You have a big dream, you think about something you'd like to create, and then the next thing that a lot of us do is then we think, well, what would it take for me to make that happen? And so often what happens is that we spend more time thinking about, well, how am I supposed to do this big thing, right? We spend more time thinking about that than we do what it is we actually desire. And so we might be thinking, well, I want to start my own business. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, I have to get some more money. I need some resources. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a lot of work. I have to have more support. I have to have more people that just want me to do this and do everything for me. Right? If we want a bigger house, like think about having a bigger house, then we might start thinking, though, this is what I did last year when we were looking to move. We wanted to move to a bigger house, and then I was like, rental prices are skyrocketing. Moving is really hard. And I have to declutter my bedroom first, right? That was we'll move, but I have to declutter first, right? So we will spend more time thinking about how do I make this happen than what it is that we actually desire. Now this is the part of our process, because it happens really quick. We get our desire, our flash of inspiration, we get really excited for a minute, and then we start thinking about how we even make it happen. Because we forget, if we got this divine inspiration, it comes along with it whatever it is that we need to make it so in this world. Our inspiration will bring with it the means, but we start thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? Now this is the part of our process where our little me, the little devil on our shoulder, right? And for me, it's a little tiny Deanna there and devil horns. This is where they are so darn successful. Little me is so darn successful right here, right in that moment of our process, because it's going to convince us, right now is not the perfect time to start this. You don't want to do that. That's going to be really hard. Think about any time you've ever, I love metaphors about dieting, okay? But, you start off a diet, and usually, like for me, the first couple of days are okay, but then it's like Wednesday, because you know how you always start a diet on Monday, right? So you get to Wednesday, and then it's like, oh, well, one of my friends is having a gathering, and oh, it's going to be a full moon circle, or there's going to be cheese there. And so what little me does, says, we've already had a tough week. And it would like, I know that the diet's important, but being with our friends will feed our soul. That's actually what we need right now. And then we can pick it up the next day again, just start over. But of course, we have like 12 birthday parties to go to this week. So we'll start next Monday. See, our little me is diabolically brilliant, and it's going to make sense to us. It's going to make so much sense, okay? Maybe you want to declutter a room in your house, right? And so you're like me, I just want to declutter this one desk. That's all I'm focused on right now, right? And I'm basically just sharing with you what my little me said to me last week, okay? I'm looking at my desk. I'm like, wow, this is a lot, right? And then in my head, what I hear, yeah, this is a lot for one person. You know what we could do? We could make a bowl of popcorn and sit in front of Netflix and clear our head. And then we could plan it out. Let's make a list, right? That's what my little me is always like, let's make a list. Because that will always throw me off for like weeks at a time. Okay, let's make a list. So our little me has already done this. Hi. Our little me has done this already 1,000,000 times, and it does it over and over and over again because it works. That's why it does it. It's already worked. Okay, now, of course, some of you haven't had your little me speak to you 1,000,000 times yet, like you guys, right? Maybe 50 times. Okay, but think about this. The little me has already done it with success, so it's just going to keep doing it because it knows that it works. Now, we are literally on this planet. Like, literally, our purpose is to expand the borders of our life so that we have new experiences. Now, having new experiences, this is uncharted territory, which just means it's out of our comfort zone, right? We're creating a new experience that's out of our comfort zone, that's all. Otherwise, it's not a new experience. If it's in your comfort zone, it's an experience you've had a bunch of times, and it's okay to have those over and over again too, but our soul likes to create new experiences. So those are going to all be out of the comfort zone. Now what happens is we get inspired and we get excited. We start imagining how our life would look with this new experience in it. And then we think about the first action we have to take. And we may even take the first or second action. Oh, I want to go on a vacation. I'm going to look online. I'm going to see what's out there. I might look and see what's available over in Ireland. Maybe I'll go ahead and book something. But see, we take that first action, and that's when we're going to start feeling the resistance. Okay, the little me, oh, Ireland's pretty far. It's expensive too. But right now, where it'd be fun to go? San Diego. That would be easy to do. Okay, so there's our little me. That's how our little me is talking to us. Whenever we get excited about something and then we start to move forward on it. Now, are you sure? Are you sure? Maybe we should wait till next Monday and think about this a little bit. Make a list. The purpose of our little me is only survival. That's all. That's its purpose, is just to keep us alive, to keep us from getting eaten by bears. Its purpose has nothing to do with us having fun or experiencing personal growth or spiritual growth. Our little me does not necessarily want us finding fulfillment. It just wants us to survive. It doesn't even care about if we're thriving or not. It just wants us to survive. So it was designed, it's part of the human experience, and the little me served our ancestors very well. Don't get eaten by a bear. But see, nowadays, of course, we don't have bears, but how the bear looks now to our psyche, the bear looks now like failure. It looks like shame. So the little me is saying, you don't want to try that and fail, because then all your friends will laugh at you. Nobody will like you anymore. Nobody will come to your birthday party if you do this. They're going to think you're weird. Okay, so that's what the little me is really working on. Doesn't want us getting out of our comfort zone. And it will always throw peer pressure at us, because peer pressure is out there. Like, we're always under some form of peer pressure, so the little me just takes advantage of us. Remember, you got all your friends you've got to deal with. Okay? All right, so Anywhere you get inspired and then you get excited and then you start to take action, the little me is going to throw out that resistance, which is going to sound like a really, really good excuse. That's all. Just going to sound like a really good excuse. Nah, you don't want to do this right now. It's just the little me. Okay, just the little me. So here's where the importance of having faith. This is why having faith is such a big deal. You can see that the little me is not going to get us a big life. It's only faith. Only big faith can give us a big life. And so big faith helps us to get through a period in our experience of wanting to create something new. We have this little moment in time that's liftoff for us after we've had this inspiration. It's liftoff. And this comes from the physical science information of if you're launching a rocket, the rocket's just sitting on the ground. And when NASA launches this rocket, it burns off most of its fuel in the first few moments because it's battling against inertia and gravity. So inertia is that it's just sitting here on the planet, right? We didn't slingshot the rocket to give it like a little extra something. It's just sitting on the ground or whatever is at NASA. Okay, so it's battling that, just sitting there, and then gravity also. So it has to burn off most of its fuel so it can overcome the inertia and the gravity and break a barrier. So I think that barrier for the rocket might be the atmosphere. Then it gets into space and maybe it doesn't have to use that much fuel out there because there's no resistance in space, right? Now when we want to try something new and we want to create that new experience, we also have our period of liftoff. We also have to overcome inertia and gravity, although it's more metaphorical for us. But it's still going to be the hardest part of the process. And so how that might look for us is we want to create something, but maybe it's going to be a lot of work. Like if somebody wants to move, okay, or plant a garden. Planting a garden takes a lot of work, and it also takes commitment. And so the inertia part is when we're just looking at the garden and nothing's happened out there yet. We haven't gone out there and cleaned up the dirt or anything. We haven't bought any seeds, okay? And so we gain momentum through our choices and through our actions. All right, I'm going to go buy some seeds. I'm going to buy the dirt. I'm going to go out there and dig around and mix some fertilizer in there. Right? We start taking action. So now it's more likely it's going to turn into a garden. And then we plant seeds, and then it's even more probable that it's going to actually be a garden because now we've planted the seeds. Okay, but we actually start taking some action. So it's all that part. If you've ever done a garden, that's where all the hardest work is. Once you get it planted, the maintaining of your garden is not so bad. You just go out there and, although, you seem to be out there a lot in the garden, Don, so it's a lot. But weeding, pulling up weeds and watering, and it's different than digging up all the dirt and mixing in the fertilizer. It's different than all that, especially our dirt out here. You need a jackhammer.
Yeah.
You really do. Okay, so that's how we break the barrier, is we start taking the action on it. If we don't take any action, it's just a plot of dirt. We dream about it, but dreaming about it is not going to turn that into a garden. We have to go out there and we have to work hard for a little while. And so, see, this is where we discover in our plan to create a new experience is that there's a trade-off. We have to sacrifice something to get this new thing that we want in our life. For me, if I was going to grow a garden, I'd be sacrificing, like sitting on my butt doing something else that's easy, right? So we are sacrificing something. Now, when we have to start thinking about what we're going to give up, like if you want to write that great American novel, you have to maybe give up computer games and make a commitment to write for an hour every single morning. But there's something that we're going to have to let go of. And here's where the little me is gonna jump in. It's like, really? It's going to be so hard. Are you going to have to give that up? What if you want to be healthy and you decide, okay, I need to give up sugar and flour and Jack in the Box and Chick-fil-A, okay? That's going to be hard for somebody who's used to living all that. I remember the first time I gave up sugar and flour, That period of liftoff lasted 3 months before it became not difficult. Because it's hard to get through sometimes. But that's when the little me is going to come in. It's going to convince you that sacrifice is too much. There's an easier way to get healthy and fit than giving up sugar and flour. Right? There's not. I've tried so many other things. There's not. But we do have to do something different in our lives if we want to create something different in our lives. So remember the faith. Remember this idea of faith. What faith really is. It is creative substance that's responding to you because it's an invisible principle, it's an invisible law that responds directly and specifically to whatever it is you're wanting to create in your life. But it's not responding to your dream of something, it's responding to your activity to make that dream so. And then it keeps coming along and demonstrating more in your life. Okay, so that's the initial phase that we have to get through, that period of liftoff, where our little me will throw every excuse at us that has ever worked before. But all you have to do in this part is just remember that you are an expression of God. You are the activity of God in this world, and so is your desire. So is your inspiration. So stay on course. Okay, just stay on course and keep reminding yourself. It's just one step at a time, right? Just one step at a time. How would you eat the world's biggest pancake? One bite at a time. Okay? If that was somebody's job, that'd be really cool. Okay, but it's in this phase where we have to stay committed. So we do have to be highly committed here because the little me is going to be working pretty hard to trip us up. And so here's the next way then it trips us up, is through evidence in our lives that things are not working out. Okay, are you sure? Look at this. You were on this diet for a week and you lost a half a pound. Come on. This ain't working. This is not, half a pound's nothing. You want to lose 30. Okay, you didn't lose 30 pounds, so what you're doing is not working. Okay, so here is where we think we use faith. We have the faith through a period of creativity in our lives called signs of land. Now, signs of land is something I heard of through Florence Scovel Shinn. Signs of land is back in the day when there were no planes, trains, or automobiles. It was just sailors sailing the high seas. And they knew they were going to an island or somewhere. They follow the stars. They basically know they're heading in the right direction. But then they would start getting signs of land, so they'd know they were close. Even though they couldn't see the land on the horizon yet, what they would see in the water, sticks and twigs, maybe some bird feathers, and they would know, oh, look, we're getting close. Because all of those signs of land, they don't go all the way out into the deep, deep ocean. They just don't make it that far. Okay, but signs of land, there's an abundance of sticks and twigs, so they know, okay, we're getting close. We're getting close. They don't look at all that and say, is this all? I thought we were coming to an island, and this isn't an island. Who thought this was an island? We just better go back. Let's turn around and go home. This was a waste of time. When we want to create something, often what happens is that something smaller manifests in our life. We get a lesser version of our desire. I knew somebody who was on fire to become self-employed and had a good plan to be self-employed. And then their boss at work offered them a raise to keep them. And so she decided, well, it is more stable and I have insurance on all that. So she decided she would take that instead. But sometimes something like that will appear and it's well, what the little me says is, look, you're getting a raise and it's stable, right? Being self-employed is hard. And it is hard. Like a lot of us know how hard self-employed is. No vacation time, no sick time. Keeping QuickBooks stuff, right? That's just it's awful. So being paid by somebody else who does all that kind of stuff for you, it can look really good. It can. It actually is good, if that's where you are. But I'm just using, this one example. So signs of land is maybe you want to buy a house. Okay, and the house where you want to live is over here. But nothing's for sale there, but there's something over here. And it's okay, it's nearly what you want. It only has one bathroom. That's kind of weird, right? You really wanted two, but maybe you just better go ahead and get this, because there's a crazy housing crunch. There's crazy housing stuff happening right now. Okay, so that would be the little me saying, now just settle. Settle, it'll be okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's safe. It's safe. Just go ahead and take that one. What happens when we start getting signs of land is it means there's a little bit of expansion happening in our life. Look, there's a little bit of expansion. I know one of my friends who was moving a few years ago, she kept having little houses up here, and she's like, I don't know, maybe I should just take that one. Maybe we should just take that one. And we were talking about the idea of signs of land. And you know what? She waited, and she did get a house that she really, really loved. Okay, so she just took it as a good sign. She took it as a good sign. We're getting a taste of our desire, right? It's coming. It is coming. So when a small version of what you want shows up in your life, don't think that you have to settle for it. Because the little me is going to have you believing that, well, this is all you're going to get. You should probably jump on this. What it says to me that gets me every single time, you probably ought to jump on this right now, because if you don't, somebody else is going to get it before you can get it. Like, it just knows it's going to just wreck me if it says that to me. I'm like, somebody will get my stuff that I really don't want. Okay, so that's two of the ways our little me really can interfere with us, and it makes sense. That's the really diabolical part of it, is it makes sense. It justifies, like how we should settle, or how we should give up, or maybe how we should put something off for a few weeks or months or years. So here's our call to action this week. From the book of 1 John, chapter 5. For whatever is born of God triumphs over the world. And this is the victory which conquers the world, our faith. Our faith. That is the victory. See, we're the means for God to express the good in this world. That's what we're designed to do. We are not the means for God to settle in this world. We're not the means for God to put things off and procrastinate. Right? The nature of light is expansion. Right? The sun shines down on this planet, and it doesn't say, wait, I've got to make some popcorn first. Hold on, just hold on. Right? The nature of light is constant expansion. That's the nature of God working through us also. Expansion. No procrastinating. Okay, so God is all things. That means me, and that means my desire. That means your desire, your inspiration. Whatever is born of God, and that's all of us, triumphs over the world. Now, triumphing over the world, this isn't about pillaging or plundering or taking stuff, getting more stuff. We're triumphing over the world. We're triumphing over excuses, like perfectly justifiable excuses. It makes sense. We're triumphing over the ideas that we should settle. We're triumphing over the ideas that maybe we think we don't deserve something. We triumph over this feeling that we should start it up later when the timing is right. Right? I used to think, well, before we had kids, well, we should make more money first and then get a bigger house. Right? That didn't work out. They just came along, and they came along at the perfect time. Right? Having kids is the perfect time. Okay, so we're acting on our faith now. That's the triumph over these things that could hold us back, over the things the little me is spewing out at us all the time. That's the victory. That is our victory, is our faith. But our faith cannot be in our thoughts alone. We also must act on our faith. So I have an affirmation for us. This is an easy one that you can say, like, all day long. It's faith. Faith paves the way and blesses my day. Let's say that together. Faith paves the way and blesses my day. We do need to accept that the little me is a part of our human experience. It's just part of our experience. We don't have to eradicate it. We don't have to heal from it. We don't have to try to lose it, by driving really fast away from it. We just accept that it is part of our experience. Faith paves the way. So faith is what gets us through the liftoff period. Faith is what helps us to get through the part that's going to take the most energy from us, where we need to have the most commitment ever. That's where faith is so important. Faith gets us through the signs of land. It helps us to see, oh, look, things are expanding. This is good. Keep going. Right? This is the evidence here that what you want is on the horizon. You can't see it yet, but here's the evidence that it is on the horizon. Okay, so faith is what helps us see all this good happening already in the package of our lives, even though our desire is not yet demonstrated. It helps us see it's coming, so it's coming to us. And the little me is going to be trying right hard at that point to convince us that we should do something else or that we should settle. So over this next week, think about doing this, right? Think about paying attention to that voice in your head. Okay, listen to what it says. I know when it talks to me, it's so weird. It'll say, we deserve this. I don't know, other people I've talked to, it doesn't sound like that, but I've heard other people say, yeah, it sounds like my old grandmother. Mine sounds just like me. Okay, but pay attention. When you want to try something new, what is that voice saying to you? Okay, remember how smart it is. It's super smart. It's already used these excuses on you millions of times, and you've fallen for them, like we all have. Okay, so what is it saying? And think about that, because remember, it wants to limit you. It wants you to settle. It wants you to think you don't deserve something. Okay, so when it speaks up, and really remember, it just doesn't want you to get eaten by bears. That's its big thing. So thank it. Right, just thank it. Say thank you. Thank you for your input, but now it's time for you to get in the back seat. Put your seatbelt on, but I'm driving my bus. You're not. Okay, I'm driving my bus. Okay, remember, we are literally on this planet to expand the border of our life. That's what we are here for, having new experiences. Because every time we create a new experience in our life, and to be able to create this new experience, we have to call forth the divine through us, for us, and as us, just to do that all. So we act on the inspiration, and we experience our curiosity, and we ask questions. We express our creativity, and all of that is actions of faith in this world. All of that, expressing your creativity. That's a huge act of faith, huh? That is a huge act of faith. Okay, but we're expressing all that through us, for us, as us, and it's faith that allows us to do it. It's faith that gives us the courage to keep going even when things are hard. And that is how we are creating heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, you are divinely designed to be doing all of this stuff. You are the activity of God in this world. You are the heart and the hands of God in this world. In everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is.